Well, hello, gorgeous people. Today I've got a little book haul for you. We've got 8 books. That actually was such an enormous haul that I decided to divide it into 2. I'm going to have a thriller, more spooky haul coming up a little later. But today I've got sci-fi, I've got historical fiction, non-fiction, basically the rest of the genres right here. Let's get into it. So quite a few of these have come from my little jaunt over to Value Village. I have done some damage yet again. Is anyone surprised? Probably not. By the way, it is a beautiful day here in Ottawa. So I have the window open. You might hear a car going by. You might hear a few things. So apologies for that, but I can't bring myself to close the window. It's just too nice. We're going to start with historical fiction. The first book is Roots, the saga of an American family. What I didn't realize was that this is based on Alex Haley's actual family. So we go back to 1750 in the village of Jufour. We follow a boy in this area who I believe is captured and sold into slavery and sent to America. And this follows 6 generations of Alex Haley's family. I'm assuming that this is still fiction and not nonfiction. I will say that I did find this in the nonfiction section and I was like, I don't know if that's actually right. I am really looking forward to this. It's huge. You see that? And you know how I am terrified of big books. But I've always wanted to read Roots. Always. I've never watched any of the miniseries because I'm desperate to read it myself first. So let's read the first line of Roots, see what we think of it. There's a huge introduction. Oh my God. Chapter 1. Early in the spring of 1750, in the village of Jufour, 4 days upriver from the coast of the Gambia, West Africa, a man-child was born to Amoro and Binta Kinte. That's not a 5-star first line to me, but it does sound wonderful. I can't wait to read it. The next book is The Fair Fight by Anna Freeman. I think I heard of this book from Lauren over at Lauren and the Books. Love Lauren. And this sounds so interesting. This takes place, I think, in the 1800s. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it takes place in the 1800s. And we follow 2 women. One of them was born in a brothel, Ruth. She didn't really expect much of her life. And she ends up fighting, like becoming part of a boxing ring. We also follow manor-born Charlotte, who was scarred severely by smallpox, and it seems like no one wants to involve themselves with her romantically, which is very sad and unfortunate. And she also ends up fighting, and the 2 meet and become, it seems, really, really close. It sounds good. I'm gonna read it. So let's read the first line of The Fair Fight. Some folks call the prize ring a nursery for vice. Ooh, I like the sound of that. I wouldn't say it's 5 stars, but I really like it. Okay, so we're moving on to fantasy/YA. I hopped on the bandwagon. I'm very late to it. This is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This is coming out on Netflix as a series, and I saw everyone reacting to the trailer, and I was just like, I have to get that. So much so that I actually got in my car. This was a little while back now. I got in my car in the middle of a raging snowstorm, should not have been driving, and drove to pick it up. Have I picked it up yet? No. I don't know why I did that to myself. I risked my life for this book, so it better be good. So this follows a girl named Alina. She is a soldier and she lives in this strange world where I think a lot of people are soldiers, and she is trying to survive her first trek across something called the Shadow Fold. And essentially on the other side of this are all sorts of monsters. And when her regiment is attacked, she finds within herself this dormant magic, and it's basically unfurled, and everyone around her is completely shocked by this. After this, she ends up training under the Grisha, which is her country's magical military elite, and she falls under the spell of its notorious leader. Now he thinks that she is the key to completely ending the Shadow Fold and all of the monsters lying behind it. It sounds like fun. I don't know. I don't usually read YA. I don't usually read fantasy, but I feel like this might be a good place to start. Okay, so let's read the first line. Before. The servants called them Malandkai, little ghosts, because they were the smallest and the youngest, and because they haunted the Duke's house like giggling phantoms, darting in and out of rooms, hiding in cupboards to eavesdrop, sneaking into the kitchen to steal the last of the summer peaches. I really love that first line. I don't know if it's 5 stars, but maybe 4, but I really love that first line, and it makes me want to pick up the book. If I like it, I'll have a whole series to read. Let me know if you guys have read that. I have 3 sci-fi books. Who am I? 3 sci-fi books. The first is a sci-fi YA book that I've already read. This is The Loneliest Girl in the Universe by Lauren James. I will leave my March wrap up in the description box below so you can go and check out my thoughts on this. But The Loneliest Girl in the Universe follows a girl who is on a spaceship heading towards Earth 2. Now, Earth 1, I believe, is in a bit of trouble. She's on her way to find a new planet that can populate Earth. And she's on her way, and she really doesn't have a lot of interaction with anyone else. She's the only survivor. There are plenty of other people on the spaceship, and they all died, and she was born on the spaceship. Now she's on her way, she loses touch with Earth, and she ends up getting into touch with one other person who is on another spaceship, who they have sent to be with this girl because she's completely alone, and that's not fair. And that spaceship is slowly catching up to her because it's got new technology and all of that. She certainly starts being really close to this person because that's the only other person she can talk to. But things start going wrong with her ship. I won't say more than that. Lots of fun. So The Loneliest Girl in the Universe. I think I picked this one up because of Leanne from Literary Diversions. Love Leanne. So let's read the first line. Days since the Infinity left Earth, 6,817. I'm reading fan fiction in my pajamas when I hear a nightmarish sound, the emergency alarm. I really love that first line. I would say it's 4 stars, but it immediately hooks you, pulls you in. You're worried about her right away. So good. Next up is Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. This follows an artificial friend. This is a robot who is sitting patiently on the shelves waiting for a human to claim her. And this is about love and connection. And when you think about robots, well, I for one don't think about love and connection, but here we are. And it sounds incredible. Kazuo Ishiguro is a beautiful writer, so I am very eager for this. Let's read the first line. When we were new, Rosa and I were mid-store on the magazine's table side and could see through more than half of the window. I wouldn't say that's a 5-star first line, but I still want to read it. Okay, so the last sci-fi book that I've got here is Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. And this follows a young girl named Rose. She's riding her bike in South Dakota and she falls through the earth and she falls into the palm of a giant metal hand. Now, 17 years later, Rose has been very profoundly affected by this, and she's become a physicist? Yeah, physicist. And she's leading a secret team determined to crack the hand's code. And apparently there are more than one body part, metal body part around Earth. That's what I've heard about this one. And this is the start of a series. Let me know in the comments below if you've read this series and if it's any good. I got it for like $2 and I just couldn't help myself. So let's read the first line. Prologue. It was my 11th birthday. Okay, that's not a 5-star first line, sadly. Okay, the last 2 books I have to share with you today are both nonfiction books. First is Atul Gawawande's Being Mortal. And this is written by a doctor who talks about the end of life and what is needed at the end of life. It talks about how people at the end of their life might have more that they want than just survival. And it just sounds really fascinating, and I've heard very good things about this book. So I picked this one up. Let's read the first line. The Independent Self. Growing up, I never witnessed serious illness or the difficulties of old age. I wouldn't say that's a 5-star first line, but it does sound fantastic. Last but not least is a book that Barry got from me. He got me this book called Raceless, In Search of Family Identity and the Truth About Where I Belong by Georgina Lawton. So Georgina is a Black woman who grew up in English suburbia, and her parents adopted her. Her parents were white, her friends were white, like her whole surroundings were white. And as she grew up, she felt like she was really missing out on her own culture. She was just missing out. And so she explores and travels the world and moves in with all sorts of people around the world and Black communities around the world, and visits them all and learns about herself through this experience. And it sounds absolutely wonderful. That is a loud car. That car is not moving. Well, we're at the end, so we're going to read the first line of Raceless. So, the secret. I was born into a secret. Ooh, that sounds... What? Okay, that's a 5-star first line to me. That sounds fantastic. So, those are all of the books that I picked up recently. Let me know in the comments below, have you picked up anything as of late that you're excited about? Sorry about all the noise out there. I should have just closed the window, but here we are. Hope you guys are doing well, and I'll talk with you soon. Bye.